how to create three-dimensional elements on the surface of epoxy resin. I have a lot of tutorials on my YouTube channel on how to make paintings, lamps, and volumetric waves, but today I want to show you another option inspired by my students from the Silk Intensive. They bombarded me with questions on how it's done. There are so many works by Japanese artists. It seems like this is now the trend, creating a dish with a wave flare effect. Today, I will show you exactly how to. On a dish like this, a seashell dish, how will I create the highlights? My name is Natalia Ryumina, and I share all kinds of secret lazy life hacks with everything I use to achieve my result. So, in order to create volumetric waves, we need to do several stages of pouring. You can do it in one stage, pour one layer, and when it has reached the necessary state, the right condition, press the waves. Show in two versions because I want to flood the shore, the bottom, where there will be shells, stones, shells. My student gave it to me. I bought stones in a store for the garden. There are white crumbs. I bought these crumbs in a stationery store. There was a children's department, and just these silver crumbs were. I spill my desired ones into the resin of liquid viscosity. Your desired decor is. We need to wait for this layer to harden to make it on top. You can make it colored, you can make it protonated, you can pour the sea into it, but I don't want to overload the work. I want to make only from the surface of the sea without foam to make volume. Now I combine two components of silicon paste called, on the territory of Russia, this company is called Art Resin. I have a promo code for a 10% discount on the Therium. Now the guys generally have 20% on IGAM and 50% on epoxy resin. I create, how it is, I don't even know what to call it correctly, but in the mortar we push and rub the poppy seeds. Yes, what is the name of this thing with which we push in general? Some kind of mallet, which is more voluminous and pot-bellied on one side and flatter and smaller on the other side. I create and leave it to polymerize. With the help of this mallet, I will make prints on my surface of my product. Another one. A moment if you want to flood the sea with foam. For the first time, let's say, I poured a layer of foam. Now, I want to make it look like the sea, but it won't work. Listen to me. When you pour the foam and start to blow, the resin goes and foam appears. However, because it has borders and it's in a mold, volume becomes an issue, especially since it is poured in several layers. The resin hits the rim and comes back. Thus, it's impossible for the foam to form. So in order to create a foamy sea, you have to work in two stages. First, we pour our sea level, and then we pour the foam. I hope you get what I am trying to tell you. After the first layer dried, I mixed more resin of medium viscosity and colored it ocean blue using Pinata Company's dark blue ink. Near the shoreline, I'll make transparent ones. In the middle, I drew oceanic blues. I distribute. I have a small layer, probably about 1.2 millimeters at most. This is the layer on which I'll now push my foam. Now let's turn to a visual definition. How do we create highlights? Look at these pictures. Pause and see what spots do as such a shadow. When your resin is somewhere probably around 2.5 to 3 hours, keep checking. Look, it should be squeezed like this. When your resin is already in the same state as plasticine, it does not stick to the shape you have created. It imprints the elements you need. Just make sure that you have a beautiful highlight. You don't need to make very deep waves. There's no need to make very deep creases. The flare looks particularly cool if you pattern it, kind of like how you imprint with a coin. That is closely, very closely. Take another look at the picture of the flare and see how it's patterned. If you do it right up close, a spot, another spot, another spot. I made spots in the top part. In the lower part, I created waves to prevent any traces of creases or strong bends which would make the surface rough. Yes, it will, but it will look rough on the surface, so make them softer. Once you've shaped them, go over them with a torch, but not too much, as the elements will soften when you go over them with a torch. You may need to repeat this process several times if the resin hasn't reached the desired viscosity, but the gleam it gives off is absolutely stunning. The depth of the work is breathtaking. It reflects sunlight so beautifully, and not only when the sun is setting, but even when it's high in the sky or in the shade. The gleam, though, is absolutely amazing, and you can achieve the same effect if you lube up the gloves with soap and press down. My first video of a tail and whale were made this way, using a glove. In any case, showcase your work and experiments. I'd be happy to see it.